Hey guys, we're all about finding affordable fun stuff to do while traveling and in our home city of Los Angeles, so today we're going to be talking about a haunted walking tour we recently did in Long Beach with US Ghost Adventures called the Long Beach Ghost Tour.
Hi, I'm Phoebe.
I'm Adam.
We're the couple behind In the Great Wide, and we are LA locals, so we are vaguely familiar with Long Beach, but honestly, we haven't spent a ton of time there, and we don't know much of the history, so we were excited to hear some spooky stories and learn a little something on this tour.
This tour starts outside the Casa Bonita Apartments on 6th Street, where we met up with our tour guide Isabel, along with 4 other people who would be taking the tour with us.
2 of them had a hard time finding parking, so we ended up starting the tour 10 minutes late, so this is your warning to go early and find parking.
We actually did some research to find good parking options, so you can find that in our blog article, which is the first link in the description.
Isabel started by telling us some stories about the Casa Bonita apartments, like how their light fixtures have a tendency to sway on their own without any breeze, and multiple tenants heard a woman screaming late one night, but no one could find her.
Yeah, the landlord supposedly brushed it off as someone's TV being too loud.
Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to say?
Yeah,
but also,
yeah.
yeah. But keep in mind that you are not going to go inside any of the places you visit on this tour. For the most part, you'll be standing across the street. So if you want to go inside some of the places, the public places, you'll need to plan for that either before or after your tour or on a different day.
Isabel then told us a little bit about the indigenous Gabrielino Tongva people who lived in the area long before it was colonized.
She mentioned a woman who led a failed rebellion against the colonizers and was then exiled but became a symbol of the community's resistance.
All of this got tied in at our next stop on the walking tour, which was the Pacific Avenue stop of the Metro A-Line light rail.
Here, Isabel pointed out the mosaic artwork decorating the tops of pillars along the station, which depict faces and are meant to honor the Gabrielino Tongva people.
Unfortunately, it was dark, so the art was a little difficult to see, but Isabel also shared a story about a descendant of the tribes who was a student nearby at Cal State Long Beach.
There's a sacred indigenous site on campus there called Pavungna, where the student had a paranormal experience that she insists was not scary at all, but instead was encouraging and comforting, but paranormal nonetheless.
Pavungna is too far to walk on this tour, but it was cool to hear about it anyway, even though we weren't there.
Very cool, yeah. Our next stop was across the street from a horror-themed bar and pizza joint named The Fourth Horseman, where Isabel told us there is a doll that made employees suddenly think extremely violent and depressing thoughts.
Luckily, no one has been reported hurt, as far as we know, but this definitely sounds like a place that we want to go for ourselves to see if we can spot the doll, because we love going to haunted bars.
We've been to haunted bars all over
so many places,
the world,
so many places.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, but at this stop, Isabel also told us the legend of Igor's Alley, which is an unmarked alley in a residential area 4.5 miles north of where we were.
The legend says that Igor was an immigrant in Long Beach during the Great Depression, and when he lost his job, he spent his last paycheck getting drunk, then went home and killed his wife and kids and hung their bodies from meat hooks in the alley behind where they lived.
Yeah, so needless to say, that alley is widely believed to be haunted, and some people have had some really creepy encounters there.
By the way, if you want more details about this tour and the additional research we've done since we took it, you can find that stuff on our blog article along with an easy-to-read breakdown of the fine print for this tour so you can know what to expect before you book it. Just head to the first link in the description.
We then moved on to the Harvey Milk Memorial, where we heard the baffling story of what was dubbed the Twinkie Defense.
Essentially, Harvey Milk was one of the first openly gay people to be elected to political office in the U.S., and a guy named Dan White didn't like that, so he assassinated Harvey Milk and the mayor, but then was found not guilty by a stacked jury after White's lawyer said he only did it because he was depressed and had eaten too much junk food.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I had never heard this story before we went on this tour, and I I don't know. That's baffling.
There is so much more detail to it, and the whole story is fascinating, but
in a very
it is
tragic way.
Very tragic and very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Isabel also told us a story here about a woman who is buried at Sunnyside Cemetery, which is another famous local legend, but the cemetery was also too far to walk to on this tour.
The woman's name was Bessie Baxter, and she was a bride who was returning home to Long Beach in 1918 after picking up her wedding dress in LA when she was accidentally killed while crossing the street.
She was buried at Sunnyside Cemetery in her wedding dress on her wedding day with her bride's bouquet on her casket, and now people report seeing her ghost wandering through the cemetery.
The cemetery is practically full now, with over 16,000 people buried there, and it has been used as a filming location for a number of movies, including for the fourth Fast and Furious movie, Phoebe's favorite.
I did not say that. It was one of the first things that popped up when I Googled the cemetery. But after that, we walked down the promenade, which neither of us knew existed in Long Beach. But it seems like a decent area to go out for dinner or drinks if you're looking for something for before or after your tour.
On the promenade, we stopped outside the Marriott Hotel, which Isabel told us has a phone that regularly rings but stops the moment someone goes to pick it up.
Yeah, I joked that the employees should make a game out of that to see who can pick up the phone the fastest. I feel like that's just naturally what would happen.
Yeah. It did remind us of a story from the haunted walking tour we did in Salem, Massachusetts, where a phone company had moved into an office building that was built on the same land where the prison once stood that held the people accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, I'll leave a link in the description to our video about that walking tour if you want to check that out and hear that story, along with a link to the other walking tour we did earlier this year with U.S. Ghost Adventures in Hollywood.
However, the spookier story that Isabel told us at the Marriott was actually about the Marriott Hotel at the Long Beach airport, where a man had a disturbing experience in the middle of the night that ended with security breaking into the room and finding the man in the fetal position on the floor.
Again, we weren't able to actually go to that hotel during the tour because it was several miles away, but it was a cool, spooky story to hear anyway.
We then walked down to the Breakers Hotel on Ocean Boulevard, which Isabel told us got its name from how the waves broke against the backside of the hotel when it was originally built.
Yeah, another thing that I did not know about Long Beach, apparently all of the land south of there, where things like the aquarium, Shoreline Village, and the Long Beach Convention Center are, all of that land was added on mostly in the 1960s.
The Breakers Hotel has changed hands a lot since it originally opened in 1926, going back and forth between a hotel and a retirement home over the years.
It also had a short stint of being a home base for the American Red Cross after an earthquake in 1933, where at least 120 people died.
In 1938, Conrad Hilton opened it as his 8th Hilton Hotel and added a fine dining restaurant on the top floor called the Sky Room, which is still open.
In the Sky Room, employees have said they feel a dark, shadowy presence lingering in the corners, and they constantly feel like they're being watched, even if they're the only person in the room. So much so that one of the servers eventually quit because of it.
The hotel and restaurant are out of our price range, but they definitely have a very elegant look to them, so if you can afford to stay there or eat at the restaurant, let us know how it goes.
Yes, please leave a comment because I would love to hear about it. After that, we went down a hill to our last stop of the tour at the Pike Outlets.
It's a shopping center now with restaurants and a movie theater, so you'd never guess it, but it's actually one of the most historic places in Long Beach.
The Pike was originally an amusement area along a boardwalk that had all kinds of attractions and restaurants, including a public swimming pool, a Ferris wheel, and even a wooden roller coaster that Adam's dad used to ride with his buddies in the 60s.
Yeah, he would get on it, and then if no one else got on, they would just let him keep running and keep going, and he loved it. It went out over the water. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool.
One of the other attractions at the Pike was a ghost train ride called Laugh in the Dark, where things would pop out to try to scare you.
They were using it as a filming location for the $6 Million Man in the mid-'70s when a production assistant tried to move one of the ride's dummies, but then realized it was actually a petrified corpse when one of the arms fell off.
That body was the body of Elmer McCurdy, a train robber who died in Oklahoma in 1912 and didn't have any family members to claim his body or pay the undertaker for his services. So to make a little money, the undertaker decided to preserve the body with arsenic and charge people money to come see it.
Strangely, it turned into a really popular attraction, which led to a carny coming up with a scheme to get Elmer's body so he could use it as a curiosity for his traveling carnival.
Elmer was traded around between carnivals and amusement parks so many times that people forgot that it was actually a corpse, which is how it ended up at Laugh in the Dark.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
It
Again,
was a
I'm
corpse.
baffled.
A corpse!
Yeah. Anyway, after the discovery by the production assistant while they were filming, Elmer's body was sent back to Oklahoma and finally buried.
So insane. So that was the end of the tour, but there's also an option to book an extended tour that includes up to 4 more places, which the other people on our tour had booked for themselves, so they continued onwards while we started heading all the way back to our car, which was parked way back by the Casa Bonita apartments.
We were really disappointed that there weren't any stories about the Queen Mary included with the regular tour, since it's arguably the most iconic attraction in Long Beach, and it's widely known to be haunted.
Full disclosure, we were gifted this tour in exchange for an honest review, so we asked our contact at the company about what is included in the extended tour, but we haven't been able to get any confirmation.
The tour itself took 70 to 80 minutes and was 1 mile of walking over mostly flat land, but there is one fairly steep hill that you go down at the end to get from the Breakers Hotel to the Pike Outlets, which you will then have to walk back up afterwards to get back to your car unless you decide to park around where the tour ends and do the walking to get to the starting location.
Either way, you're walking up that hill at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since the tour is in a loop, we had to walk all the way back up to the starting point to get back to our car, which you should expect should take another 20 to 30 minutes.
But for $23, this is a great activity to do with a group of friends, just to do a little something different other than just going out for drinks, especially during spooky season.
Yeah.
Because what will $23 get you in LA these days anyway? That's one cocktail.
One cocktail.
Yeah.
But if you go with a group of friends, it would be fun to go out for a drink after the tour anyway, so you can talk about all the stories that you heard.
So you can do both.
Yeah. We made a whole day trip out to Long Beach out of this tour, starting with lunch at Joe Joe's, which is Long Beach's oldest pub. It is awesome. Then we tried to go to the Queen Mary, but were shocked at the new $45 entry fee.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking a walk on the beach and hanging out at Belmont Brewing instead.
Yeah. We found a good spot instead.
It was great.
Yeah. If you'd like to see us do a video where we visit the places that were mentioned on this tour but were too far to walk to during the tour, let us know in the comments.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the Great Wide somewhere.